Welcome, everyone, to the June 10th, 2024 regular business board meeting of the Lower Merion School District Board. This meeting is available via Zoom webinar, live stream, and is being video recorded with sound for public broadcast. All participants joining via the webinar will need to use the chat feature, which will be enabled during the audience recognition period of the agenda. If you're attending this meeting in person, you should be aware that other attendees may be recording this meeting as permitted by the Sunshine Act, which means that any remarks that you make, even those made at your seat, may be recorded by other members of the public during the meeting. The board believes it is in the best interest of the board, of the community, and of the entire school district to hear comments from district residents. An opportunity will be given later in the meeting for public comments, both in person and through the chat feature, which will be read by our solicitor, Mr. Ruse. The board strives to be respectful to all individuals making public comment and does not wish to limit any taxpayers or residents' right to free expression. However, there is a 3-minute limit on the time that you have at the mic or in the chat. So please be mindful and respectful for everybody's freedom of speech. And with all of the statements said, we can get started. So can we please have a superintendent presentation?
Good evening, everyone. There are some congratulations we'd like to point out. Last week, we had 2 successful nights of graduation. I'd like to thank everyone that took part in the success of both the Harriton and Lower Merion High School graduations. 2 great nights at Villanova University. I think the venue was, for many, a welcome change. More families got to come, and I really think Villanova did a great job for us. But again, great job for everyone, and many thanks to everyone who was part of making those ceremonies a success. We also had our rite of passage for our Power Scholars. They wore their stoles at graduation. The picture below that all of our 11 schools are now deemed heart safe to have medical safety teams. At the top, you see Jessica Perfetto being recognized with a certificate. She's one of our tech ed teachers, being lauded for her excellent work in the tech ed space. And then our Balakinwood Middle School students placed very well in the judicial competition. This summer, we have summer meal offerings. Not on site. Ms. Buckman, what's the actual location?
It's the Neighbors Helping Neighbors Center at 104 Holland Avenue, and Ardmore and meals will be served on site there from noon to 1.
Great, thank you. And we want to thank Mr. Hussein and his staff in food services for making that a reality. There are a number of items tonight on the agenda. There is a stipulation agreement. There has been a lot of collaboration with the Wynwood Civic Association for the eventual lights on Arnold Field. We're asking the board tonight to approve a revised stipulation agreement that removes the field house from that agreement. We're also asking the board's approval this evening for a calendar revision for the upcoming year to add Eid to the calendar. It's the end of Ramadan. As part of our ongoing work of building belonging, this was talked about among all the superintendents in Montgomery County, and several school districts that don't already have Eid as a holiday on the calendar are adding it. Mr. Orlando and I will present the final budget in just a few minutes. There's been a lot of teamwork this year. I want to thank everyone who has been really instrumental in helping us lift off the big initiatives that are set for next year, universal full-day kindergarten, and also healthy start times. And finally, there's a couple congratulations this evening. George Frazier, our Director of Information Systems, will be joining the ranks of those that are retired. And he already changed his LinkedIn profile to say George is open to work. And I also want to congratulate, tonight the board will take action to appoint Ms. Schaefer, the acting superintendent. One of the things that I'm extremely grateful for was Megan's partnership over the last year, and the partnership of the entire cabinet as I transitioned into this role and transition out of the role in just a few days here. Finally, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you first and foremost to our students and our staff for all of the support this year. It's been really great getting to know so many of you. I want to thank the cabinet and the administrative team and the board as well. Even though I'll be departing Lower Merion in just a few weeks, I'll be watching from afar, and I know that there are many great things to come. So that concludes my final superintendent's report.
Before we go into committee reports, I just want to publicly thank Dr. Yanni for all the work that he has done with us in the last year. And I don't think I realized that was your last, as I like to call it, president's report. So I really appreciate it. Now we're going to quickly go through the committee reports. First up is Finance Committee meeting report that happened on May 24th. Todd, can you take us from there?
Wait, we have a couple other presentations
Sorry.
to give. At this time, I'd like to welcome State Representative Tim Briggs up to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, and thank you, Board, for accommodating a little pause in the agenda. I know you have a busy agenda. Every year since I was elected in 2008, I hosted sponsored an essay contest. And when I first got elected, I was thinking of doing a high school essay contest to try to introduce high school students into public service, politics. I love politics. I love serving our community. And it was a suggestion of one of the teachers I met that I should think about doing something a little bit younger. So I started to do a fifth grade essay contest. Over 300 fifth graders in the legislative district participated this year. And the idea is there ought to be a law. It's pretty simple. But when you read the essays, they really address issues that are important to them, important to their classmates, important to the community. And it really is inspiring. It's probably one of the best uses of my time that I do every year is reading hundreds of essays. It kind of reminds me of the hard work that teachers have. And my wife and I kind of narrow it down, and we decide the winner and the finalists. So this year there was one winner and around 8 or 9 finalists. And one of the finalists was from Black Rock Elementary School. If I could invite him up, Rama Sina, who is Miss Johnson's student at Black Rock, wrote a really great essay. And since COVID, congratulations. A lot of the essays and suggestions were related to, if you could stay up, Dr. Yanni, we could take a picture, related to mental health, related to the demands on the students. And Rama's essay kind of touches on that, but in a really unique way. And we see work from home and creative workplaces for adults. And Rama has suggested a 4-day school week. And it would really alleviate time to do homework and pressure and all that. And it was the way it was just presented was really something creative. Don't know if it's going to happen. But it really was a good essay. And I want to congratulate Rama for a very inspiring work, and have a great summer. So, would you mind? And thank you, Board, for the teachers have always been great. And it really has been a great partnership. So if your mom wants to come, there she is. Why don't you stand in the middle row? Or just stay right here. And we took a picture in the hallway, but.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great. Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. Congrats.
Thank you so much, Representative Briggs, for that amazing program, and congratulations. Next up is the 2024-25 final budget presentation. Dr. Yanni and Mr. Orlando.
So I know you're really excited to get to that presentation, but first there's legislative priorities for the upcoming year. every year, Pennsylvania School Boards Association provides districts the opportunity to comment on, suggest, or amplify their voices toward a number of legislative priorities, platforms that they will meet with our state representatives, state senators, and the governor about. This year, we're amplifying our voice on a number of those things. The first is the change in state assessments. Starting in the 25-26 school year, the PSSAs and Keystones as we know it will go away, and there will be new assessments. The assessments take much less time, mimic more closely what students do on a daily basis in classrooms, and we'll be able to get the results more timely than we get them now. Some of the other things that we're amplifying our voices regarding are some predictable, sustainable funding streams for mental health services in our schools and schools across the Commonwealth. We're also supporting looking at the radius for non-public transportation. Right now, you know that we must transport students to private and parochial schools, all the non-publics, within a 10-mile radius. Given the nationwide bus driver shortage, it's really imperative that we work to convince our legislature to change those parameters and reduce that radius. So we are looking and hoping that they will carry on the torch of moving towards a 5-mile radius instead of a 10-mile radius. Keeping in mind that we are not advocating for any student to have reduced transportation if they have an IEP or a 504. And I think that basically covers the big priorities for this year. We want to thank PSBA. PSBA really does listen to voices coming out of districts, and I want to thank the board for the feedback after we called these things together. So thank you. And now we're on to the budget presentation. As Mr. Orlando is getting ready to present the budget, I want to thank a number of people. First, I want to thank all of our budget managers and budget controllers, all of our directors, principals, assistant principals, and leadership team for their work in not only developing their budget, but refining their budgets as well. I want to thank all of our teachers and staff for turning around budget requests very timely. Putting together a budget in excess of $330 million is quite a feat, but it takes a lot of people. I want to thank everyone in the HR office and also in Mr. Orlando's office, because there's a lot of people that work to get the budget to this point. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Orlando.
Okay. Thank you. So this evening we have the final 24-25 budget. And you can see from the presentation we've done in the past, this is our educational financing plan for the children of Lower Merion, and it's in compliance with the charter accounts, which all Pennsylvania local education agencies must classify the revenues and expenditures. The budget calendar, you can see since January, we've had several meetings to go over the details of the budget. On April 15th, the proposed final budget was approved as required by under Act 1, and this evening we have the final budget approval and adoption for the board's consideration tonight. Some of the highlights, we did not file a preliminary budget this year because the board drafted a resolution certifying the millage rate would not exceed the Act 1 index, which is 5.3%. A preliminary budget also was associated with exceptions, which allows you to go above the Act 1 index, and that was not part of our financial plan for this upcoming budget year. And as all districts, we have a lot of challenges with growing expenditures, and we're continuing to plan for all our long and near-term goals. So where does the money come from? So as you see on the slide, as in the past, 83% comes from the local taxpayers. There's about 15% comes from the state, just about 0.5% from the federal government, and roughly about 1% of our fund balance we're using to balance the budget. Here's some of the details. You can see the 1% is about $2.9 million. The 83% is the $274 million of local resources that we went into detail over several meetings what these were. And then the state revenue, you can see that's the slightly over $50 million. I just want to note one thing on the state property tax reduction allocation. We are receiving over $1 million more. So for the 14,920 residents that have approved homesteads, you'll see an additional about $72 to $73. So the homestead exclusion, the current year was $295, it go up to $367. That's the highest it's been since the adoption, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. And then you can see the federal sources are declining because the ESSER money or the stimulus money, that money has run out, is no longer available. So when we add up those four categories, the total revenues are, and fund balance is $329,276,595. As we get into the expenditure side, the state manual requires us to show in two different formats. One is by function and one is by object. And this is shown by function. You can see on the left-hand side has the detail of those functions. So the instruction is function about 58%. Support is 30%. We have 10% for other expenditures and financial uses, and 2% for non-instructional services. The second part is they show by object. So you can see on the left-hand side, we have the 100 through the 900 objects and what those signify. And you can see the blue and the red is salaries and employee benefits, which is based on personnel costs, which is about, 77%. And you can see that most of the other ones are all under 10% of the budget. And here's just a breakout of by dollars. You can see, as you mentioned, the 76%, it's about $250 million or so dollars for personnel costs. And you can see the breakdown of all the other objects that we went into detail in the past in our meetings. So the expenditures, again, $329,276,595. In order to balance the budget, there is a millage rate of 33.911, 0 mills, which is 4.69%, which is under the Act 1 index. And our budget expenditures from the current year to next year is 2.7%. In the budget, we do have a budgeted capital reserve transfer amount of $5 million. And as we went into detail at our last Finance Committee meeting, these are the items that currently are anticipated uses. We have 2 chillers at both high schools that will need to be replaced. We are replacing the Ballackinwood Middle School roof. If you remember last month, the board did pass a resolution for the DCED grant, which would pay about 75% of that $6 million plus project. We will know that in September. This will be the balance of it, which is roughly about $1.6 million. So let's cross our fingers that we get that grant. And then bus replacements, we have, I think, about 135 buses, and obviously those can't last forever. And it's all subject to final scope and pricing once we get to the market. So on a median house assessment of roughly $250,000, it would be a $380 tax increase. That does not include the additional $72, which would be reduced from that from the homestead. And any questions?
Any questions from the board? Looks like we're good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, now we are ready for committee reports. Todd, would you like to go over finance?
Well, it's going to be really brief since we just had the report. But since January, we had a series of meetings. Initially, the first couple of meetings focused on the revenue side. The subsequent meetings focused on the expenditure side. And we had a brief meeting last month just to talk about what was just highlighted here, the capital reserve transfers. So we're anticipating about $5 million, which is about a little over 1%, 1.5% of the budget, kind of already earmarked for these necessary non-discretionary charges, including the chillers and the roofs and the buses.
Thank you very much. Next, on May 29th, we had a communications committee meeting, and report is coming from Sarah. Thank you very much.
Sure. So the Communications Committee met on May 29th on Zoom.
Ms. Buckman discussed some ongoing projects such as the community newsletter, information that's on our website about full-day kindergarten, superintendent transition, talking about registration, some videos, a few contracts, a new program called Thought Exchange that we will be voting to approve tonight, which is, sounds like a great community engagement, student engagement, staff engagement tool, surveying tool. Also talked a little bit about AI and some opportunities for the district to do some translation services using AI. And then we also talked about upcoming events, although some have now passed, such as graduation. And we do not have a scheduled meeting yet for the fall.
Thank you very much. Next up is June 6th, Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting. Mel or Jason?
So, thank you. We talked about the list of bills. There was also a purchasing report. We also reviewed some of the district contracts. There was discussion about the White Marsh Boat Club for Lower Merion. We also discussed the squash program at the Kinwood Club, student transportation, and then there were several information technology, both for internet security as well as other renewals that we went through. Also, thought exchange for survey and reporting, Ms. Buckman presented, and then some other information, holding materials for our administration. And then finally, we talked about that over the summer, they're going to start the Gladwin Elementary School roof replacement, that process, as well as pre-authorization of change orders so that any of the work won't be held up on change orders, and that we can hopefully get all that work completed as soon as possible. And then at the conclusion, and then what we did was we talked about our next meeting, which is August 15th. We won't be meeting in July, and we hope that people come out for Thursday, August 15th, 2024 at 8:30 a.m. for our next facilities and purchasing meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it's a time of the evening for audience recognition. At this time, we will hear public comment. If you would like to speak at tonight's meeting and have not signed up already, please do so now. It's right back there on the counter. For those of you joining us via the webinar, the chat feature will now be open for you. It'll be open for 10 minutes. The timer will appear on your screen. You can submit your comments and or questions via the chat feature. Please be sure to begin with your full name and where you reside in the district. Just the town is fine in order for your comment to be shared either in public or on the chat feature. Do we have any people for comments?
We do. I don't know if there's any students. They're not listed. I don't, by the names, I can't
Great.
tell them.
If we have students in the audience, you get first turn. So would you like to come up? I feel like I saw a couple of you. Come on up.
Apologies for not specifying.
Oh, no worries.
Sam Zelli. Thank you. Good evening, Honorable School Board. My name is Sam Zanagi. I live in Wynwood. I'm a junior at Lower Merion High School. My friends and I are here as Lower Merion students because we recently learned that this year is a contract negotiation year for our teachers and staff. Students at LM are lucky to have extraordinary teachers and staff. I think I speak for both the 10 students in this room behind me and the thousands of students across our district when I say that our education is made and run by truly exceptional and dedicated teachers every day, and I think that you all know that. Our teachers care so deeply about us, and we have learned to care deeply and truly about them. It is motivated by our care and admiration for our teachers that many of us decided that we have to show up to visibly display our support for LMSD teachers and staff as they renegotiate their contract this year. I completely understand that in LMSD, every dollar is stretched thin. LMSD has taken on massive commitments this year, from full-day kindergarten to healthy start times, all of which undeniably drain the district coffers in our benefit. I understand that money is of course tight and that every school board member works tirelessly as volunteers to stretch that money as far as it will go. And given this, my ask to you is simple. In a finite budget, it is necessary to prioritize, and I want if you have to prioritize anything, to prioritize our teachers, prioritize our staff. Every student who speaks after me can share a deeply personal story of a teacher who went above and beyond their contract to help us learn and grow. And teachers deserve fair compensation for the work that they do. As inflation and cost of living have skyrocketed, we know that teacher salaries have not kept up. We know that our teachers and staff fly above and beyond their contracted hours for the benefit of all students. And we know that they deserve a fair contract and a fair cost of living raise. I want to implore you to prioritize the well-being of our teachers, the backbone of all of our educations, and to truly make them feel supported in contract negotiations. I know that you're in a hard place. I know that if you weren't, this wouldn't be a discussion. If it was easy to give teachers what they were asking for, none of us would have to be here. But I'm sure that you are working as hard as you can to reach a fair and equitable contract. And I trust you immensely and know how deeply you prioritize your students and the teachers of this district. And I hope that seeing your students stand behind their teachers will help inspire you as you work towards securing the fair and well-deserved contract that our teachers are asking for. Thank you, and I yield the rest of my time. I forget how to end these. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much. Do we have another student? I swear I saw two other students. There we go.
Good evening, Honorable School Board. My name is Delphine Reed. I live in Narberth, and I'm a rising senior at Lower Merion High School. Firstly, I want to thank you all for all of your hard work this year. We as students appreciate everything you've done to make our district a better place, and we know your volunteers working tirelessly to balance the needs of our district. We understand that a part of that balancing act is managing a tight and in-demand budget. We understand that money is tight and that you are all making incredibly hard decisions every single day. But when we choose where to allocate our resources as a district, we must choose to prioritize our teachers. LMSD is so lucky to have amazing teachers and staff. Our teachers go above and beyond their pay grade by connecting with students on a deeper level. When I had a horrible migraine and didn't have any medication, my amazing and wonderful advisory teacher, Christina Minetti, turned off all the lights in our classroom, gave me a blanket, and set up some chairs so I could lay down. When I got a bad grade on my math final, my choir teacher let me sit in his office and talked me through just the feelings and feeling so sad about my math grade. Our teachers change students' lives. They not only help us learn math, English, or science, but how to be good human beings. Every teacher in LMSD goes above and beyond for their students, and they deserve your total support as a school board. Teachers and staff make this district what it is, and I'm here to implore you to see their value in your negotiations. Please, throughout the decision-making process, keep in mind our teachers and the gifts they bring to their students. I know that you are all trying your best to make fair and equitable decisions, and I trust that you'll give our teachers the support they really deserve. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much. Other students, come on.
This is really high up. Hi, I'm Arrow Shapiro. I'm a rising junior at Lower Merion High School. I live in Marion Station, I think. So today I'm here not only to support the teachers, but I'm also here to talk about the late start times. I think us as students really appreciate the extra sleep, especially as high school students. However, the issue with transportation comes into mind when I think about the late start times. My house is outside of the walk zone, which is great, but it is a 48-minute walk from Lower Merion to my house. Because of this, I would take the bus or get driven to school. The bus, I have debilitating nausea, and when I take the bus to school, I will immediately throw up. So my parents drive me to school. However, I have two working parents who start work, my father at 7:30 in the morning and my mom at 8 in the morning. Since school's moved back next year, I don't have a way to get to school. So, well, along with my sister, who goes to Harriton, who will go to Harriton, who suffers the same issues as me, we ask you, what are you doing to help students who don't actually have a way to school anymore? Because we can't take the bus, we can't get a ride to school, and so I'll be dropped off at school at 7:30, just like I am this year. Am I supposed to wait at the school? I just want to ask you, can you provide some transparency on what options parents and students have in the morning for school? Because many people I've spoken to, we don't have options anymore. I think you guys are doing a great job with this late start times, and I think many, many parents and students are very grateful to be able to sleep in and get a better education because we have more rest. However, there needs to be more transparency on options in the morning so that families can run functionally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have one more student in the audience who's coming up? There you are.
Hi, my name is, excuse me. Hi, my name is Ichin Long. I'm a rising senior at Lower Merion, and I live in Wynwood. Good evening, dear school board. 7 months ago, I first stepped foot on the beautiful campus of Lower Merion High School. I was scared of meeting new things, scared of doing new things, and meeting new people. After all, it was a new school, it was a new country, and it was a new life from moving from China. But turns out I didn't have to worry about that. Firstly, because I found wonderful people, I met wonderful students, and I made wonderful friends. But secondly, and more importantly, I met our teachers. It may have only been for a short time, but really it felt like I knew them for a lifetime. Because we love our teachers not just because of how they teach, it's because at the end of the day, they're humans too, and darn good humans they are. They make us want to wake up in the morning and go to school. They're the reason why we enjoy learning. They're the reason why we find things interesting, and they make us who we are. There's a reason why we as a school are ranked 4th in the state, and our teachers are an indistinguishable part of that. Finally, the start of the financial budget presentation began with stating that the presentation was quote unquote for the children and for the students. If not for the teachers, please do it for us, because they are one of the most important people in our lives. They make sure that we spend 8 hours at school not dreading it, but loving it, making us make sure that we look forwards to it. They make sure that school isn't something to be dreaded upon. They make sure it's something that we can not only learn from, but also grow as people. Because that is what our teachers mean to us, and that is why the school board shouldn't just raise their money that they earn, not just for them, but also for us, because at the end of the day, we love our teachers and we want the best, not just for them, but also for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no more students, then, nope.
Good evening, school board. I'm El Kudich. I'm a rising senior, and I live in Wynwood, PA. I first moved to this school district my freshman year from California, the opposite side of the country, and I remember that experience being one of the probably scariest experiences in my life. This was an entirely new state. I knew not a single person, and safe to say, I was scared, just as I am talking up here. I think that something that's really not understated, but is sort of overlooked at times, is the importance of teachers in students' lives. I believe that all the teachers should get paid a living wage as the cost of living goes up, because teachers are some of the most important people that I think everybody meets in their lives at one point. Whether it's elementary, middle, high school, or college, everybody has met at least one teacher and has grown thanks to their influence. All teachers are important, no matter the grade or the time spent with students. And I don't think it's fair to compare elementary school teachers being more important to students versus high school teachers just because of the amount of time spent. All teachers are important. When I first moved here, some of the teachers that I met on the very first day of school helped me immensely. And some of the reasons that I look most forward to coming to school some days is the teachers I talk to. My AP Lang teacher, Ms. Stevitz, who I've known since freshman year, has been a very impactful person in my life and has truly helped me grow in not just English, but as an understanding person. I understand the time, effort, and energy you all put into everything you do, and it is very appreciated, not just from you guys, but from teachers and students and parents alike. I understand that money is stretched thin to the very dollar, and I would just like to say that if there is anything at all that can be done to prioritize teachers in any sort of way to make sure that they can continue doing what they do best, I would ask that you prioritize teachers and their salaries and their living wages. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yep, one more. Thank you.
Good afternoon, school board. I think my peers have put it really well, but I just want to touch on a couple of other things. I'm Michael Steenhoff. I live in Val-Kinwood, and I'm also a rising senior from Lower Merion High School. First of all, I want to give you a little bit of background knowledge about me. I joined the LMSD in 3rd grade after moving from Botswana, a country in Southern Africa. As this was a massive shift, as you can imagine, I really appreciated the support, mentorship, and tutelage of every single teacher I had, especially in 3rd grade in Kinwood. As my years progressed, and now I'm a junior, and it's my 9th year in LMSD. I can only say I've gotten this point because of the support and tutelage of every single one of my teachers. Here are a couple of anecdotes from this year. First of all, I'd also like to thank Ms. Stevitz, and here's a specific example of the influence she's had on us. First of all, she offered the opportunity for us to do a practice SAT, a practice AP test on a Saturday, and she sacrificed the whole of her morning just to have us have the opportunity. In the upcoming week and 2, she offered us the opportunity also to come in during lunch and learn and talk to her and revise the multiple choice and free response sections. Another similar example is Mr. Grugan, my math teacher this year. He was always open during both lunch and learns, which is a crucial opportunity as he sacrificed most of his lunch just to be with us, talk to us, and help us on mathematical concepts. Finally, I would like to thank Mr. Bird, the head of Beckton Scholars. He was always there for me to talk about racial inclusion, diversity, and equity. These are only a couple of teachers. I also like to thank the people who are often not talked about as much. Bus drivers, janitors, custodians, cafeteria workers, coaches, and I'm sure there are many others I haven't mentioned. They're all crucial parts of the piece of the puzzle and an important factor in LMSD. I just hope you guys think about those, as I'm sure you already are. Thank you for the work, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Okay, if we are completed with the students, then we can move on to the rest of the list of names once you sign up.
Denise Mars, Colleen Wortley, Rosemary Brooks.
Thank you.
Emily Freshy, and Joe McNichol.
Good evening. My name is Denise Morris. I'm a 26-year resident of Wynwood. I've had 3 children go through the Lower Merion School District system, Penn Valley, Welsh Valley, and Harriton. 8 years ago, I was lucky enough to become the Harriton school nurse, which then allowed me to pull the curtain back and get a front row seat to the educational system of the Lower Merion School District. Observing the teachers has led me to the opinion that they are the cornerstone of this enormously successful system. I am here tonight to urge the board to resolve the contract as soon as possible and give the staff a decent and deserving wage. So many changes await us this fall in both leadership and programming. These are the enormous expectations of all the staff to implement these changes. Please allow us to begin the school year with financial security and a fair and just contract. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Colleen Wortley. I live in Wynwood, and I'm a 36-year resident between Narberth and Wynwood. A little background. I have 3 children, much like Denise, that attended Penn Valley, Welsh Valley, and Harriton. 16 years ago, I started running the Project Change program for kindergarten here in the district, and then I was lucky enough 14 years ago to get hired at Penn Valley as an instructional aide. In the 14 years in the classroom, and mind you, I am in from 1st grade to 5th grade, well, not 5th grade anymore, you see a lot, and a lot has changed. There are expectations of metrics and performance of the teachers with growing class sizes. It just seems like they're getting asked more and more and more. We were doing benchmarks last week, the last week of school. I mean, again, those teachers will have to grade those. One of the things I felt that I just wanted to share was a personal thing that happened. Like during COVID, we were expected to come to work while many people worked from home. No matter how many times you tell a child to sing happy birthday to wash their hands, it just doesn't happen. And we basically say, as I say, work in a petri dish. And granted, I was frightened to bring COVID home to my family. I have an immune-compromised son. He's a three-time cancer survivor. And I was truly worried that I would bring something home when children were asymptomatic. That said, we were flexible. We came to work. We did what we were supposed to do, and we did it for the children. As a parent and an employee, I see the creativity and the teachers that love their jobs every day. I see their dedication for the children. They go above and beyond. Currently, as of today, Penn Valley, about 80% of our classrooms are being changed to accommodate the incoming full-day K. Those teachers are packing up their classrooms after hours, probably Friday and probably this weekend, because there is no time allotted. And I'm just sharing once again, this is above and beyond. They're not getting paid to stay extra. Many of us will stay after on Thursday to help these teachers get packed up and moved. Our situation might be different. Not every school is getting the full day K input that we are. Okay. Okay. Once again, our taxes get raised, and once again, we're looking for a superintendent. I will miss you, Dr. Yanni. My second grade husband, it's a little story. Megan, again, will step in and do an amazing job, but I'm asking you all to consider what we put in every day for the children, 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, 10 months a year. We love your children. Just please consider what we do for them and compensate us for that.
Good evening. My name is Rose Maria Brooks, and I have been a resident of Marion Station for the past 36 years. My husband and 2 children are all graduates of Lower Marion School District schools, and my husband was a chemistry teacher at Lower Marion High School for 22 years until he retired in 2019. Throughout my children's education, I had the opportunity to interact with many fine teachers, coaches, support staff, and others. These individuals are why my children went to our public schools instead of private schools. They were afforded a well-rounded educational and social experience which helped prepare them for college and beyond. For the last 18 years, I have worked as an instructional assistant, and I've been at Belmont Hills Elementary School for the past 12 years. My job is more than any job description put forth from our district. While I support our first grade team and help students navigate academic and social developmental needs, I am always available to any student who just needs someone to listen to them, to be in their corner. Even in Lower Marion, with its affluence and opportunities, it is shocking to find students who are suffering from many physical and emotional burdens. It is not unusual to find students who have not eaten since dinner the night before, or students who are dealing with anxiety and depression because of home conditions. As an instructional assistant, I am there for them, a trusted adult who will listen and really hear what they are saying. As a staff, we are committed to our students and their families. We give our best because there is no better investment for our future than these kids. We see the great potential in each student, and our constant positive reinforcements do make a difference in many of their lives. Do you not see any of this? As a school board, how do you not negotiate a new contract in good faith? The members of Lower Marion School District deserve to be recognized for the wonderful quality of education we provide our children. We are giving our hearts and hard work to this district. Why aren't you sitting at the bargaining table and getting this done? Our students deserve better. We deserve better. Thank you.
Emily, and then Joe.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Emily Freshy. I'm a resident of Narberth for 43 years. I was a Narb when it wasn't cool. I tell that to people who live in Narberth now. They don't understand what that means. So I teach at Harriton High School. I was a teacher in School District of Philadelphia for 13 years, and I've been a teacher at Harriton for 6. So I want to just read you an short excerpt from an article from the New York Times. The issue of teacher salaries goes well beyond just teachers. A new generation of economists devised statistical methods to measure the value added to a student's performance by almost every factor imaginable: class size versus per pupil funding versus curriculum. When researchers ran the numbers in dozens of different studies, every factor under a school's control produced just a tiny impact except for one: which teacher the student had been assigned to. A statistician studying teachers found that a student with a weak teacher for 3 straight years would score on average 50 percentile points behind a similar student with a strong teacher for those years. Teachers working in the same building, teaching the same grade, produced very different outcomes, and the gaps were huge. A Stanford economist found that while the top 5% of teachers were able to impart a year and a half's worth of learning to students in one school year, as judged by standardized tests, the weakest 5% advanced their students only half a year of material each year. So why does this matter to salary? We attract the most talented teachers with competitive salaries. You give a tremendous amount of leverage to administrators by giving them the opportunity to draw in talent with competitive salaries. You will lose them to other districts without those competitive salaries. I know because I was one of those teachers who came for that. Attracting the most talented teachers and providing them with cutting-edge ongoing training is ultimately an equity issue as well, because guess who is the most resilient, statistically speaking, from the effects of an ineffective teachers? High-income students. Guess who is the least resilient to having an ineffective teacher? Low-income students. So bringing talented teachers into this district is of utmost importance to our lowest income demographic. If you are okay with having lower paid, less talented teachers here, that is because you are okay with failing the lowest income students who are the most vulnerable. That is not okay. I urge you to consider that we are not going to go with the cheap option when it comes to our children's education.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joe McNichol from Wynwood. I am the parent of 2 daughters that are at Penn Valley Elementary School. I've been a science teacher and a science Olympiad coach at Harriton High School for about 15 years now. Okay. When I first became a teacher, it was my dream to work in this district. It was my goal. It's where I wanted to be. Okay. I wanted to spend my career here. I wanted to live here. And I wanted to raise my children here. The pride and joy I felt when I finally achieved that dream has only been matched by the professionalism and passion of my colleagues. Getting to the point where my wife and I could actually afford to live in the district was a struggle, and sacrifices had to be made, but it's been worth it because this is a special place. You guys know that, right? You're here. Right? When this community believes in the value of something, they fight for it. They invest their resources in it, and they do not settle. But I'm a little concerned that we have neglected to show our teachers that we understand their value. I'm concerned as a member of the teachers union, but more so as a member of this community and as a parent in this district. For the first time in my career, people are choosing to leave Lower Merion School District. Teachers are leaving, staff is leaving, bus drivers can't be found, superintendents continue to leave. And I'm alarmed because they're not leaving for retirement or a career change. No, they're leaving because they prefer other districts like Methacton and North Penn and TE and Central Bucks. And these professionals are leaving all of us. They're leaving leaders in the district. They're leaving me as a peer and a colleague. And to all the parents here tonight, they're leaving our children. Because at their core, they don't feel valued. They'd rather be there than here. So how can we blame them? We're sitting here bickering about a fair and well-deserved wage increase when our current contract predates the highest period of inflation in my lifetime. There is not a professional in our community that would find it fair or reasonable to accept a 2025 salary to be based off of numbers originally negotiated in 2019. So I'm asking you to consider this. Do you really want to be the second or even third choice for top talent? Or are we going to once again signal to educators in this district and the ones yet to come that we value them, that we will fight for them, and that we will not be anyone's second choice? Thank you.
Kelly Sinicola, Ruth Jenkins, Holly, I don't have her last name, this is Holly. It looks like there's a name that's crossed out, but it has a topic of late starts, but I don't see the name. Whitney Heilman and Mary Pat McFarland.
Hi, my name is Kelly Sinicola, and I live in Villanova. I'm a resident, a parent, a teacher, LMEA vice president, and a member of the contract negotiations table team. I'm here this evening to impress upon you the importance of the Board of Education investing in the human capital of LMSD. Our table teams have been meeting since January and collaboratively agreeing on many non-economic issues. We showed up with good faith, and we thought progress and a settlement was possible. However, this has not been the case, as salaries have brought us to a standstill. To provide more context for why LMSD staff deserves what we are proposing, you need to understand how the last contract failed to keep up with inflation and has caused economic strain on our members. The first 2 years of the previous contract, 2/3 of the professionals at the top step only received a 1.5% increase, while inflation increased to 8% in 2022. In the 23-24 contract, the increase was 1.25, which again, 2/3 of the professional staff received, while inflation went from 4.2 to 3.3. This contract must represent an increase that accounts for the hard work that has already been completed by our staff. How far apart are LMSD and LMEA in terms of salary? The difference between what the LMEA is seeking and what the district has offered represents less than 1% of the district's proposed 24-25 budget of $330 million. Our ask is comparable to surrounding districts who have already settled contracts recognizing the value of their staff. We're asking that LMSD do the same. The district has the money to invest in human capital. The LMEA negotiations team has identified several potential sources of money to fund the raises that our employees deserve. A good place to start is going back to tonight's agenda, specifically 11C and 11F. Item 11C transfers about $1 million from 23-24 salary accounts, which has been designated for LMEA contracts, to various supply and service non-salary accounts. That can be used to fund the raises. 11F transfers $2.9 million from the 23-24 general operating budget to a capital reserve account for needed capital projects. At the May 24th Finance Committee, a similar transfer for the 24-25 was proposed using $4.5 million. Some of this money can be retained in the operating budget and invested in human capital. The capital projects identified can also be funded with the sale of Oakwell. In addition to these, there will be savings in salaries, benefits from retiring members in both professional and support, where replacements will likely be earning less, which much less in some cases. That will also reduce the FICA and PSERS for the district. The district's ability to afford the raises our members deserve is not in question. You have the money. What is in question is why the board is choosing to not value the staff that you rely on to support the children and families in this community. The Lower Merion staff has been dedicated to the goals and initiatives of this district and deserve to feel valued for their hard work. We've been thrown into a lot of changes over the years. And finally, I support Rama's 4-day proposal, and we should include that in our next proposal.
Thank you.
Ruth Jenkins, Holly, and then Whitney Heilman, Mary Pat McFarland, and Lisa Prosnitz.
Ruth Jenkins from Wynwood. I'd just like to say, as a retired school teacher, I gave my best time to somebody else's children. When I got home, it was like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. As a matter of fact, I still get Facebook notices from students that I had many years ago. Are you the Mrs. Jenkins? And so I certainly do support the teacher initiative. But I came here to talk about something else tonight. Two things. The Black Rock Middle School students are going to Lower Merion High School, has that been a directive? As opposed, because Lower Merion is bursting at the seams, and I would assume that Black Rock students would go to Harriton upon coming into high school, where there is room for them. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was the traffic study. This traffic study that was done through Jason's committee, right? As a member of the community and as a member of the Wynwood Civic, and also involving the Ardmore Civic, we would like to be a part of this program. This traffic situation has been something that we have been dealing with for many, many years, and now that the overcrowdedness of Lower Merion High School, the full-day kindergarten, and the late start time are going to impact the traffic around our neighborhood. So with regard to the traffic study, we, and I mean the Ardmore Civic and the Wynwood Civic, as neighbors of the school, would like to be included in the decision-making process of this committee, of the consultant, as it's called. So I would like there to be contact between the facilities committee and the traffic study and the community through the Wynwood and the Ardmore Civics. Thank you.
Good evening, Holly Manzoni, Wynwood. I just want to say a quick thank you once again to Dr. Yanni for the great job you've done. We'll miss you, wish you the best at Central Bucks. And I also want to thank the board for the excellent choice of Ms. Schaefer to fill in. You did a great job last time. Looking forward to having you back. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Vic, who's up next?
Whitney, Mary Pat, and then Lisa.
Hi, I'm Whitney Heilman, the Smileman, like I tell my kids. Thanks for having me up here, and you rock for getting it right. I'm just here to share, kind of echo the need for a contract. I'm extremely proud where I teach. I'm proud of my kids. I'm proud of the families. I'm proud of the work we've all put in. When I came here 9 years ago, I didn't think I was going to stay in teaching. I thought this was like a little 2-year gig after a couple other years in other places. Still here 9 years later. 8 years ago, my wife and I bought a house here. We want to dig in. We want to be a part of the community, but we're outsiders. And we've done it. There are 6 kids on my street that go to Harriton. 4 of them have had the pleasure of being in the Heilman Smileman classroom. And I just think there's some beauty to living in the place that you teach and having late projects dropped off in your mailbox and, seeing the family struggle and their success too. So I want to make sure that I can continue to be proud of where I work and continue to be proud of what I do when so many of my peers chose different jobs that would have been phenomenal teachers. Maybe not better than me, but pretty good. So I just really hope you guys get that the call for this contract is hopefully not coming off as a selfish one, but one where we want to do our jobs well and be proud of what we do. All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Hi, I'm Mary Pat McFarland, and I live in Marion Station. I'm a 27-year employee, reading specialist at Lower Marion, and a 31-year resident of Marion Station. You know, great schools have great teachers. I think we all know that. My 3 children went to Marion, Valley Kinwood, Harriton, and Lower Marion. When I was thinking about these great schools and great teachers, I really thought about teachers that impacted my own kids. You know, my son in his dissertation, line 2, he did say thank you to his mother first, but line 2 was about Penny Glackman, who, you know, in 5th grade, she was a NASA certified teacher. She gave them books. She followed the space curriculum. She showed videos. And she ended up with physicists and scientists in her classroom. I mean, what a difference. You know, we have Science Olympiad at Harriton, things that are special in the classroom, but teachers really showing that dedication late in the evening, on weekends, after school, supporting teachers. My daughter, Maddie, Mr. Thomas is here right now. One of the reasons she's a writer. Miss McWilliams at Lower Marion, a retired teacher, made such a difference for her. Her extracurriculars with the Marionite, and also my daughter Catherine with the Marionite and Mr. Henneberry, feeling like they had a voice, so empowered. Really, again, the extras, the extra miles, the extra energy, the extra care that teachers took with my own students. Catherine was president of Lower Marion High School, and Sean Hughes found a spot in an office for her and brought her in and taught her how to be a leader and gave her the space for that. And when they had initiatives to have a protest, Sean was there. And what did, you know, what she learned at that moment, the extra mile from her teachers and the administrators was phenomenal. So if best for schools, we're doing early start time, that's best for schools and for students. Full day kindergarten, so equitable, so great for students. So really what I think as teachers and as taxpayers, we're thinking, yes, it's hard to pay more taxes, but this just contract that supports excellent education, that's best for our students, after really knowing about inflation and the challenges in our world for our teachers, I think that's best for students and adds to the great work that you're doing and hopefully we're all doing for students. So thank you for considering that.
Hi, everyone. Lisa Prosnetz, Penn Valley. You guys know me. I usually come with like my prepared comments. I know exactly what I'm going to say, and that is not the case tonight. I was home and listening to some of our students and looking at the agenda and kind of decided last minute to come in. First of all, I just want to thank all of our teachers, and I'm sorry that you all have to be here tonight representing yourselves, but I've got 3 of my three of my kids' teachers in the room tonight, and I'm shaking a little bit because you guys are all so amazing and among my favorites, and the impact that you've had on my kids, helping with them with their mental health, after-school supports, in-school supports, lunch and learns, weekend. One of my son's teachers held a weekend session before an AP exam. It's just I can't even speak enough about just the impact that you have on our kids' lives every day. So I really hope, I know there's a lot of balls in the air, but that we can support our teachers. Thank you all. The other reason that I'm here is just due to item J on the agenda, which enables superintendent, assistant superintendent, and I think chief financial officer spending. Historically, there's been a cap put on that of $7,500. It's my understanding that there may be some reasons, but I just want to make sure that either there's a time limit, that there's some parameters put on that. Either there's a dollar amount, a time limit, something related to a limit, rather than just kind of a blanket, open-ended allowance. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Ken, are we done in-person comments?
We are in person.
Ken?
Thank you. Jill Altschuler, Marion Station. Can you please let me know where we can find more information about the legislative platform priorities that were mentioned earlier? Andrew Pockle, Wynwood. I am writing in support of the teachers and staff. They have worked tirelessly through the pandemic and are now being asked to pivot to accommodate adjusted start times and full-day kindergarten. LMSD staff members deserve wage increases consistent with the rapidly rising rates of inflation. Our top-rated schools would not function without the hard work and dedication of our teachers. They deserve a contract that reflects the first-rate services they provide to our community. Thank you. Allison Gilboy, Marion Station. I am a parent of 2 LMSD students and a teacher at Kinwood Elementary. Teachers in this district have always done the best for our students with the guidance of the board. As we did during COVID, teachers will do what we need to do to support students and the initiatives approved by the community and the board, including but not limited to full-day kindergarten and the change in school start times. I would like the board to support the staff and teachers in the district during current contract negotiations. Brian Gilboy, Marion Station. It is fundamentally unfair to increase class size, add full-day kindergarten, adjust start times, and provide de minimis accommodations during the pandemic while not providing any increase in teacher compensation. Margaret Dietz, Narberth. I was a student in LMSD. I am now a parent of 2 children in the district. I am also a teacher and a coach at Harrington High School and have been for almost 15 years. For more than 3 years, the teacher contract has not even attempted to keep pace with the cost of living adjustment. While the board members seem to prioritize singular projects or the pursuit of a new revolving door superintendent, the loyalty among the remainder of the school district employees is eroding under their feet. No person putting in a sincere effort with a full-time job would or could tolerate such an erosion of their income. You need to make it clear that the extra effort that the teachers apply to their work should be compensated and encouraged. A raise should not be questioned, but is inherently long overdue, and inflation has made what was once an appealing contract far less competitive, as evidenced by the continued exodus of valued and experienced educators. Seth Ruderman, Villanova. Despite multiple emails to the board on the Japanese program, we still have not received any indication of progress. Despite community involvement and comment, it appears that the district is still comfortable allowing this valuable program to die and will leave the rising seniors with a completely asynchronous program. This is frustrating, as we have given leads on numerous solutions, including applicants and synchronous opportunities used by other districts. 1, can you please tell us the plan for next year? We've been working on this for months and it's frustrating to receive no answers. 2, it appears that there is a resistance to hiring a teacher on an emergency certificate. Is this a district-wide policy or a roadblock set up for this position alone? Are there other teachers working on emergency certificates, and if so, why is that not an available option to save Japanese? Thanks so much. Please do not let this program disappear. Yancy Goyens, Bala Kinwood. Inquiring about any future plans to improve the outdoor play areas surrounding Kinwood Elementary. This includes the fields and playground, as well as the kindergarten playground and its fencing. That concludes the chat comments.
First and foremost, I want to thank our students that spoke this evening. It's always great when our students come out, and we really do appreciate when you take your time to be here with us and to speak. A few things. I'll start backwards. playgrounds. We have all the costs. The costs are included in our capital projects plan, and that'll be a conversation about timing and when the board wants to have that work completed. That's, the capital projects plan is up on Making Practices Public so that everyone can see the list of work that needs to be done, across the district. Regarding Japanese, we're moving forward with EduSeer with the synchronous component for students that need assistance, and that's been clear. I have not received any candidates that are fully certified. And frankly, no, I'm not hiring staff on an emergency certification for Japanese or for anything else. Our students deserve a truly certified teacher with the requisite training and professional development, and I'll leave it there. Regarding the traffic study is something that was recommended by administration, and that is because we're going to be changing the traffic pattern in the township with the change in start times. So this is about getting the data that we can give to the township about signals and whatnot. So Ms. Jenkins, I would encourage you to talk to Mr. Lill, or Mr. Lill, if you can get in touch with Ms. Jenkins after the meeting. Regarding the legislative priorities that I talked about tonight are listed on the agenda. They're attached under that agenda item. And also, we'll make sure that that goes up on Making Practices Public. And also on Making Practices Public is a document called Advocacy for Education. And there's talking points that families and community members can use when they're talking to legislators. And finally, I want to thank all the teachers that came out and spoke. I think we all appreciated hearing your messages. Thank you.
I'd like to address some of the comments tonight for the whole of the board. I just want to make it very clear and transparent. The Lower Merion School District and the school board deeply appreciate and value all of our dedicated teachers, our professional staff, and our support staff. You ensure that our students receive an excellent education in our public schools every single day, and that includes our kids, and we thank you for that. We are confident that we will reach an agreement that is both fair to our community of taxpayers who we are responsible to, and to the exceptional teachers, professional staff, and support staff in front of us and in our community and our surrounding communities. Thank you.
There was one piece that I missed regarding item J that was mentioned about the authorization. We're going to approve that with the understanding that that authorization is only good until the the August regular business board meeting. And there's a template that I've created that on a weekly or bi-weekly basis can be filled out so that the board is aware of the contracts and agreements that are being entered into. This is a fairly common practice in other districts. It might not be common in Lower Merion, but it's common in other districts when there's no July meeting. But there will be transparency for the board. And then we'll be asking, or Ms. Schaefer will be asking the board to affirm those purchases and contracts at the August meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Yanni. Thank you, Mr. Roos, for reading the public comments, and thank you, Vic Orlando, for the name yelling. Okay, next, let's move on with tonight's agenda. There are a few motions being removed from the consent agenda this evening. Dr. Yanni, will you walk us through them?
Yes, I'm asking if we can do the budget motions separately. So first, I would like to consider approval of the adoption of the 2024-2025 budget of the Lower Merion School District for the fiscal year beginning July 1st. And that is a very long motion that covers a number of topics, including the millage rate, et cetera. Mr. Roos, do we have to read that entire motion?
You do not. You simply need to ask for a motion to adopt it as presented.
So I'm asking that we adopt the budget motion as presented.
Are there any questions from the board? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Item 11E, adopt the 24-25 homestead and farmstead exclusion resolution as presented.
Are there any questions from the board? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Item 11F, approve the transfers from the 23-24 general fund to the capital reserve fund. Motion as presented.
Are there any questions from the board? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Okay, sorry, Shannon. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Item 11G, approve the items in the attachment as a committed fund balance as presented.
Are there any questions? Therefore, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
I would just like to say, even though those motions went very quickly and we passed a budget in excess of $330 million, that the robust conversation happens through the Finance Committee meetings that we've been having all winter. So thank you again to Mr. Orlando and his team.
Thank you very much. We will now move forward with approving the consent agenda. Are there any questions from the board? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a question from the board?
Possibly.
It's okay.
Can you scroll? I'm sorry. My thing doesn't work. Sorry, I just need to see visually where things are.
What section is it under?
After 11G.
Yeah,
After 11G.
okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, good, sorry.
Okay.
No, that's all good. So no more questions from the board. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. We will move forward with approving. No, I just already read that. Sorry about that. Mr. Rist, can you please give us a report on the Sunshine Act?
Yes, the board met in executive session prior to tonight's meeting regarding collective bargaining.
Thank you very much. Upcoming board and committee meetings will be held in the boardroom unless otherwise noted. What is on the docket is the next meeting that Jason shared earlier. Oh no, the next meeting is actually our regular business board meeting. That's August 19th. It's on a Monday at 7 p.m. The committee meetings that Jason shared earlier is Thursday, August 15th. Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. So that technically is next. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.